Orion, be my stars tonight. Fields grow anew with the spring of life. In this sheath of truth will I wrap myself tight. The landscape, it goes for miles. The myths of old, they breathe in me life.
Martin, what a great question, mate. You'll be glad to know that every line of your question is going to be thoroughly answered in the Female Illuminati, so I'm not going to go into it too deeply because I've just spent 3 years putting together that presentation, which I hope you'll enjoy. And it looks like from this you've been following my work quite closely, so I'm very up to speed on things. And yet, you'll still learn. People who have been following my work closely, really researching these things, believe me, you will have a learning experience when you watch the Female Illuminati. Although I must say it's nicely balanced, so that complete newbies, as long as they're willing to take notes while the program is progressing, they'll also have a very good crash course. In fact, it'll be like a PhD for them as well. They'll be able to graduate quickly to a much higher level by watching that program. And I don't think you're actually, either group, the seasoned or the newbies, are going to have much time after watching the Female Illuminati for the rest of the jive that's said about secret societies by other people. Not that it's complete bunk, but largely it is. And you're going to see from watching this program that how that is true. I don't want to say too much about it now because people won't believe it, but you have to experience the program, experience what research I've been working with, and then you'll see that the rest of the stuff that's out there is like, are these people talking from the bottom of a well? How did they get there? What is this stuff they're talking about? What is this stuff they're talking about? That's going to be largely the response, and that's good. I'm hoping for that, because we need a paradigm shift. We need to move into the turbo gear, so to speak, with this subject matter. A lot of people are still in the dark, so I'm very, very key. It's key to me to get the newbies up to speed quickly, which they want themselves anyway. So as long as they're willing to take notes, fly through things a little bit quickly in that program, can't stop at everything, so they need to take notes and check out things for themselves. And the seasoned people will also have a learning experience because they have been misinformed. That's just the bottom line. But your question focuses on the royals and all of that. And in short, it's a game of masks. That's what sorcery is really all about. So yeah, these people have a lot of power. But the ones we see in daily life aren't really, the steerers of the ship. They're on board, but they're not the real navigators. Humankind still has to sort of continue to investigate the navigators. And that's what my program is all about. But see, imagine it's like a film set, which has all been set up, and we've all got used to it. We've suspended disbelief, and we operate by thinking these royals, this Masonic group, those stories about the Crusades, right? This king, he's a good guy. He pushed back the forces of evil, and we sort of go along with the Jesus story and the God that they've handed us. And this is all the window dressing. And our forefathers accepted it for thousands of years, and we sort of have grown into it. A lot of us may have doubts, but for the vast majority of people, they're not questioning it. It's invisible to them, all right? You can't go and tell them, well, the reason why that king looks good to you is just because he pushed back a more malignant evil than he was, and you've learned to call that good. That half the good acts and good deeds that these tyrants of all descriptions have been credited with is just simply because they happen one day to have to deal with something even more horrendous and ugly than they were themselves. And we've learned to write that into the history books as wonderful. The Crusades, don't forget. We don't ask what was happening to feudal man under any of these despots. And when women get on the thrones, as they did more times than we probably imagine, did anything radically change? The answer is no, it didn't. So we got to deduce and conclude from that. Now the connections to the royals and masonry is axiomatic. It's all connected. They may try to make a lot of noise to try and say this or that monarch isn't technically a mason, but this is absolute rubbish. It doesn't matter if they're a mason, their closest brothers, cousins, sisters, these princes, dukes and other kings are from the same family, are the leaders of the Alpha Lodges of Freemasonry, are the leaders of these equestrian orders throughout the world. And while the attention is on the British monarchy, they're out a lot, so they want to attract your attention. That family has special status for a reason. It's because while you're focusing on them and dribbling over them and waving flags over them, and all the sort of National Enquirer type controversies and scandals and all the other palaver around them, that means these other royal forces that operate in other places, especially Spain, I would say is number one, but you've got Portugal as well. You wouldn't normally think that there's any importance there. What about the royalty of Belgium, for instance, and Holland and what have you? And there's a lot of them all over the place. And then you got this Otto von Habsburg, who wants to move, like Prince Charles does, towards the United States of Europe. But you're not focusing on them because the TV keeps on regurgitating the same old Prince Charles, Queen of England stuff, and you keep getting that. And there's almost no focus whatsoever on the Queen Beatrix, on Juan Carlos of Spain, and the rest of it. So there's that to worry about. And when you start digging into those monarchs, the ones that are from those other countries, the connections to Freemasons just is axiomatic. I mean, they're not even trying to hide it. So there's a terrible myopia that we have in America, Canada, Britain, that doesn't exist in Portugal, Spain, Belgium, Holland. Everyone knows the connections between royalty and masonry. We're quizzing that. Can you believe it? We're quizzing that. Look how insular we are in many ways. The connections are intimate. It's impossible to separate them. Knights of the Garter, created by Edward III, king, and all the rest of it. The Queen of England herself being very, very high up. And as I said, her close brothers and sisters, cousins and what have you, are the senior members of the Alpha Lodges of Freemasonry. We'll be getting into all of this in the female Illuminati. But, as I say, if you're a beginner, you're going to like the show, and if you're seasoned, pay attention as well, because there's a lot to learn, which I think the consequence of it is you're going to be fed up with a lot of this other very shallow research that's been put out there by these Christian evangelists, and their critiques of Masonry. It's, in their mind, it's just a matter of Satan and the devil. Absolute, total drivel. And pretty much anyone else who's writing on the subject, because they may be foolishly accolading royal families, orders, and individuals that shouldn't be accoladed at all, but these scholars have fallen for it. You get this a lot. Let's demonize Hegel. Right? We don't know anything about him, but let's demonize him and pump this guy. It's all Jesus Christ. It's all throwing the moneylenders out of the temple and all this. It's just So I mean, we have to really go beyond all of this palaver. They're saluting Kennedy, saluting Lincoln. Right.